Welcome to all of you who are joining us today for this GMAT Club live streamed discussion. My name is Jim Holmen. I'm the Director of Admissions and Financial Aid for the Kelley School of Business MBA program at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana in the United States. I'm very happy for those of you who are able to join us today. You're welcome to say hello to us in the chat, tell us where you're watching us from. And also, if you have some questions, you are welcome to put them in the box. But we'll be spending some time today sharing information with you about the Kelly MBA program to help you understand what's possible with the Kelly MBA, and also provide you information about what is special, what is unique about the Kelly MBA program. And I'm very lucky today to be joined by 3 of our successful second-year MBA students who are just about completed with their 3rd semester of the program, have 1 semester left before they have earned their MBA. And you're going to be learning about the experience through the experience that our students have had. So we're going to start with Tadra and then go around to have each of them maybe introduce themselves, tell us where they're from, perhaps what they did before coming to Kelly, and what they plan to do with their Kelly MBA. So Tadra, do you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Good morning or afternoon or even evening, wherever people are dialing in from. My name is Tadra Jones, and prior to the Kelley School of Business, I attended Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I had about 10 years of work experience prior to pursuing my MBA, working as a project manager in a variety of different fields, and really decided to pursue my MBA for a myriad of reasons, but mainly to pivot into consulting. And so since being at the Kelley School of Business, I participated in our consulting academy. I'm sure we'll talk about academies a little bit later. I'm a business analytics major. I'm president of our Black MBA Association, and I actually interned with Calypso Management Consulting this summer, and I'll be returning there upon graduation.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Tyler Neal. I am originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. I actually attended Indiana University for my undergrad, where I majored in foreign languages. And prior to my MBA, I spent 5 years in supply chain and operations, 2 of those in manufacturing, and then 3 in distribution as an internal process consultant. And I came to get my MBA because I wanted to shift more to the front end and consumer facing side. So I'm double majoring in marketing and business analytics, and I interned at Amazon, but I will actually be going to Procter & Gamble full-time as a senior brand manager. So.
Well, that's news to me. We'll get to where I'm going in a bit. So my name is Michael Duroma. Prior to coming to Kelly, I was actually in China for 8 years, 4 of which was building an education consulting company. I've had a chance to live in a bunch of different places. The reason I came to Kelly was COVID derailed the company that we had, and I was wanting to pivot out of that entrepreneurial environment and get more into a big corporate setting. And so I interned with Kimberly Clark, and I'll be returning as a strategy senior manager.
Thanks to all of you for sharing a little bit about your background. Well, if you can put yourself back in the shoes of these prospective students thinking about applying for an MBA, I know that you had a lot of choices, a lot of schools to consider. What was it about the Kelley School that led you to choose us for your MBA? And why don't we go in the opposite order this time? Maka, you can start.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and jump in on that. The biggest thing for me was I was looking at different environments, and something that really stood out to me with Kelly was their genuine follow through on having a real community. So my acceptances came through around this time last year, and what I had found was that a lot of universities preached that collaborative environment and really having access to alumni and to faculty, but it it was really only IU that followed through when I was trying to contact people and figure out what it is I wanted to do with my future. That was one piece. And the second piece was the idea of living in Bloomington and having the entire MBA packed into a small bubble rather than having disparate pieces like in a Nashville or New York, for example, where people may have their friend groups already. We're all pretty closely bound together. And so those were two very big pieces for me when thinking about the program.
So there were three components that really sold me on Kelley. One, kind of like what Michael just echoed. It's all about the collaboration. Being a Kelley is being collaborative. If you, even alumni, if you reach out to them anywhere in the world, 90% chance they will hop on a coffee chat with you and help you in any way, shape, or form. Next, there is that bubble, kind of like what Mike said. Yes, Bloomington is a smaller town in comparison to New York or Boston or whatever have you, but it really gives you the opportunity to focus on your career and improve on the things that you want to improve upon. And then finally, in comparison to other MBA programs, Kelley is like a build your own adventure. You can customize your MBA program to what you want it to be and improve upon and strengthen any skills that you think you want to focus on. And other MBA programs just seemed very cookie cutter. Everyone was coming out the exact same with the exact same experience. And Kelley just is not like that at all.
When I was thinking about business schools and where I knew I would succeed, there were a couple of themes that kind of came to mind. And excuse me, for me, I knew that I needed a smaller, intimate class setting where I didn't feel like a large number or just like a small fish in a big pond. I needed to be able to have an environment where it was competition, but healthy competition. And that's something that definitely is an aspect of the Kelley program, but not cutthroat. And I needed an environment where everybody was just willing to help each other. Professors knew me by name and kind of could, connect with me other than just like some student number. And so those are really important. I think another, aspect that people kind of forget to mention is the cost of living in Bloomington is significantly cheaper than some of the major cities. And you're volunteering to be unemployed for 2 years. And so how you spend your money can be very important, or at least it was a very important factor for me when deciding what school to go to.
That's a good point, Tadra. For those of you who are familiar with the website Poets and Quants, they do quite a bit of articles and information about MBA programs, but they published an article a couple months ago on the most affordable top-ranked programs in the United States, and they ranked the Kelley MBA program as the most affordable program thanks to our reasonable tuition, reasonable cost of living in Bloomington, Indiana, and generous financial aid, which we can talk about a little bit later. Well, so many of our students are coming back to get an MBA because they either want to change their career, some are looking to make a minor or modest pivot, others are making extreme career pivots. And then we have also a group of students who are looking to enhance the career path that they are already on by building some additional leadership and management skills. But as some of you who are joining us today may already know, our program starts with a unique experience that we call Me Inc., Me Incorporated. And Me Inc. is obviously about the individual student. And it's really our professional development program that enables students to focus on discovering even more about who they are in terms of their interests, personality traits, strengths, areas for development, and really learning how to develop their own personal brand. Would each of you like to comment on how the Me Inc. program brought you to a good start in your MBA and how it perhaps influenced the approach you took through the 2 years? Tyler, why don't we start with you this time?
Sure. So Me Inc. is definitely one of those experiences that you get out what you put into it. I came to Kelley and Me Inc. right in the middle of the pandemic, and you are so siloed because you're in quarantine. And so Me Inc. was one of the real opportunities to be in person with people and actually connect with them, which was a great experience. I kind of liken it to group therapy because you're meeting your core team for the first time that you're going to be working with for the rest of the semester. And you're kind of establishing what your priorities are, what your boundaries are, what your non-negotiables are, so that you can really strategize how you can survive the start of your MBA. And it is also a great time to reflect, because instead of Kelly just throwing you into your classes and just baptizing you by fire, they give you that time to really reflect and think about what your personal brand is, and going forward, what are the resources and things that you need to improve upon to really succeed and obtain your goals.
Tadri, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I appreciated about Meet Inc. To sort of expound on meeting people in person was that was really a chance that I got to meet the people in my cohort and my core team, and sort of establishing boundaries and rules and ways of working with each other before the semester even starts. And so, one of the things about Meet Inc. beforehand is you do this like whole personality test to sort of understand more about who you are, and you're comparing these answers and these sort of traits with your other core team members to just get a better understanding of like, okay, well, how do you like to be communicated with? How do you like to resolve problems? Those things that really do come up in the semester, and you don't really have time to sit back and think about those things. Then you kind of want to have like a plan, if you will, or some sort of frame of reference from the beginning before those types of things arise. So that was one thing that I really appreciated about Meet Inc.
Any last comments, Michael?
Yeah, Jim, if you don't mind, I do want to tack on one last thing. I think it was the tell me about yourself drills that really did it for me. I knew coming into this program that I had a series of valuable experiences, but I didn't know how to articulate them in a meaningful way. And throughout the entire Meet Inc. process, you're constantly drilling essentially your self pitch anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, what they call the elevator pitch. But it really laid the foundation for every single interview that I went through, because every question opened, or every interview opened with so tell me a little bit about yourself, and that really opens the door and really sets the table for how the rest of your interview is going to go. And so for me, that was absolutely foundational for setting me up for success through the interview process.
So by the end of orientation in Meet Inc., our students have an even better understanding of themselves and the reasons that they are there for their MBA. They've learned how to tell their unique story. They've started to develop their networking skills. And what that means is when they set foot in that classroom on the first day, they're really starting the program from a position of knowledge about themselves, which I think allows them to make even better decisions as they navigate all the possibilities and opportunities and decisions they will make throughout their MBA experience. Well, several of them mentioned the core, they mentioned teams. We bring in a class of about 130 to 150 each year, which we consider the sweet spot. Large enough to be diverse, but small enough that the students get to know each other incredibly well. The class is further broken down into teams, and each team is a part of a cohort. We make sure that every member of that team has a different academic and professional background. They come from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Each member has unique contributions, and as that team gets to know each other through Meet Inc. and working together through the core, they can be a pretty powerful team working together as they capitalize on each member's strengths. But our program does start with a core curriculum that lays the foundation, and it's coordinated by a team of faculty who represent the different disciplines. So Tadra, how about you starting us this time and telling us a little bit about the core experience and how that lays the foundation for your remaining MBA coursework?
Absolutely. At core, when we talk about laying foundations, is really important for the rest of your business school experience. For a lot of people, if you don't really have a lot of traditional business experience, it just exposes you to different aspects of business. And so you can sort of start to see what you're interested in, and that can go into picking your major or what it is that you want to pursue afterwards. But it also just gives you a solid, common language to speak with people, right? And when you start thinking about interviews and networking, you start to be able to sort of play a little bit more in these pools when you talk about recruiting for different positions. As far as the experience itself, it is very much so intense. People, liken it to sort of trying to drink from a fire hose, if you will. But that intensity is really good. I mean, it never lightens up, right? So like, there's always some sort of thing that's going to be intense about business school, whether it's you recruiting, whether it's core, whether it's your other classes and things for your major. And so it kind of hits you all at once, if you will, especially, a lot of people haven't been in school for a while and just sort of getting back into the rhythm of studying and doing homework and, being awake for a long period of time, if you will. But it's a really great experience. Some of my favorite classes are classes that I typically don't like. So for example, quant and accounting. And that really speaks to the professors we have here who make it very digestible, very easy to learn, and just very memorable.
Anything, Michael or Tyler,
Yeah,
you want
sure.
to
I
add
was
about
going
the
to
core
tack
experience?
I was going to tack on one other thing essentially, which is, as Tadra pointed out, everyone's coming from a different spot. And so some of you will be coming in with very limited business experience. And so your entire focus will be the academic side of things and the networking and just trying to keep everything together. But some of you may have some foundational skills in finance or accounting, and those people turn into assistant coaches. And that kind of goes back to the collaborative piece that we talked about at the top of the program, where people were willing to help each other. I recall certain situations, through finance where, we had students holding sessions outside of class to help facilitate that. And so no matter where you're coming in from, there's a way to make core your own. There's a way to contribute, and you're definitely going to learn a lot in a short period of time.
I have 2 points to add. One, yes, core is hard, and when you're in it, it is so difficult. But once you're done with core, you actually end up missing it. At least for me, I can't speak for Michael or Tadra, but it's a safe space where you can learn with your core team. You get so adjusted to being in that environment. It's a safe space to learn, as I said. The other thing is that core is not just about learning business foundations, it's about learning soft skills. And I did not fully realize that until I was in the middle of my internship. Because in core, you're juggling, yes, classes and learning, but you're also juggling coffee chats, networking events, and so many other things. And so in the middle of my internship, I realized how good I got at time management, how good I was at networking. And so it's really a game of balance and figuring out, again, what your priorities are and where you want to put your energies.
Thanks. And the things that they just shared about the core experience, I think help answer the question that Hong Win asked in the chat box about what are the characters and values we look for in an MBA candidate. And as they all describe the power of their team, I think they learn how they can accomplish more together than they would ever be able to accomplish by themselves. But as a result, we really are looking for people who are willing and interested in working within a collaborative team-based environment. If there is a student who's really more interested in working independently, we may not be a good program for them, because the program is designed so that, in addition to the collaborative work, you're learning sometimes as much from each other as you will learn from the faculty and the classes that you take. Everybody learns from each other. We're also looking for people who are motivated, people who are reflective, willing to consider the opportunities and options and sometimes be flexible. A former career services director shared with me that another quality that he thinks sets apart some of the most successful Kelley MBA programs is the willingness to be coached, the willingness to accept feedback, actually hear that feedback and act on that feedback, because you will be provided so many opportunities to receive feedback, to be coached as you move through the MBA program. And students meet their career coach through their involvement in something we call an MBA Academy. And in the first year everyone must join one of 6 academies. We call them Career Foundation Academies that are loosely focused on your kind of functional interest when you complete your MBA. So for those interested in marketing, we have a business marketing academy focused on more business to business marketing. We have a consumer marketing academy. For the finance people, we have a strategic finance academy focused more on corporate finance. We have a capital markets academy for those interested in investment banking, investment management, and related areas. Our last 2 academies are a consulting academy and then a supply chain and digital enterprise academy. So would each of you like to briefly just mention the academy that you were a part of and a little bit about how that academy experience bridged the kind of classroom academic experience with your internship and future career? Michael, you want to start this time?
Sure. So I was part of the consulting academy, and I'm sure some of the things I say, Tasia will end up echoing because she was in the consulting academy as well. But it was huge in setting the table for my success going forward. So when we came in, I mean, our academy director was shameless about saying this is going to be more work than any other academy because he didn't know any other way to present it to us than to actually do the work. And so we learned what it meant to be a consultant by doing consulting. And so we had multiple competitions in the fall. We had a project that lasted the entire spring. And for me, the foundation of what I learned through the spring project in consulting was what I relied on heavily when it came to the strategy internship at Kimberly-Clark, whether it was how to build a professional deck, how to present to people what information is important, taking data and teasing out a story. I mean, these are all skills that were learned directly from that academy.
Yeah, I echo Mike's sentiments. I think so. Just to sort of also understand, set the foundation for academies, it was really good at just sort of laying out what consulting is, like what is the industry, who are the major players, who, like, how do you move up in the industry, what are typical things that you would work on. We definitely had companies come in and talk to us, which were great networking opportunities as well. I think the most valuable thing from the Consulting Academy, in my opinion, is it equips you to be able to handle high levels of ambiguity. There are so many times where you are tasked to do something and everybody is like, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do this. Where do we start? And the fact is that you have to produce something, and not just something, but something of high quality, at least for the knowledge level that you have. And it's almost like as soon as you finish one ambiguous project, you got another one that rolls in, and as soon as that one's done, you got another one that rolls in. And that is something that I think the Consulting Academy definitely prepares students for, because for example, in my internship, I was given an entire work stream to own by myself. I didn't really have a team of people that I was working with. I just sort of presented my deliverables to my boss, and he was like, all right, is this what you think we should do? And I'm like, yes. And I think my experience with the Consulting Academy definitely helped me to not freak out as much during my summer internship experience with that. And then also bringing those qualities back to core. So when you're working with your other group members, I think Consulting Academy students are really good at being like, we just have to get this done. So let's figure it out. So yeah.
Just to tack onto that, so I'm a part of the Consumer Marketing Academy, and our Academy Director, John Lee Andrews, has decades of experience. She's on the board of Nestle. She knows what she's talking about. Academy was a really good way to do an industry deep dive because consumer marketing can look so different depending on which company you're at or even what product you're working with. And so coming to Kelly as a career switcher, Consumer Marketing Academy just gave me a really, really strong foundation and an idea of what brand management is going to look like full time. My favorite part was our Academy practicum. I got to do a semester-long consulting project with P&G for a brand strategy, and that was really cool. We got to work in groups and really try and figure out, with this real world problem, what is the solution that we can provide to bring impact to our client, which again was Procter & Gamble, which was insane. But it was a very cool experience.
So all of our academies provide similar opportunities for the students, networking opportunities, guest speakers, live consulting projects, company visits, opportunities to really understand how to take what you're learning in the classroom and how you actually use that information, how will you actually apply that information in the world of work. Srilika Reddy, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, had a question about how we support students interested in entrepreneurship post-MBA. And this brings up a good point that in addition to the required academies, everyone joins one Career Foundation Academy in their first year, we do have some additional options. We have 2 optional academies in the second year, which are a Leadership Academy and also an Entrepreneurial Innovation Academy. So for those interested in entrepreneurship, there's lots of ways they can be prepared depending on what aspect of entrepreneurship they're interested in. Do they want to start their own business? Do they want to work in small business development? Do they want to get involved in venture capital? We have an entrepreneurship major, an entrepreneurship club. The Kelley School has an entrepreneurship research center that they can be involved with. The Entrepreneurial Innovation Academy, they have a business pitch competition. So there's a lot of ways that we support students interested in entrepreneurial careers, whether that be something they want to do immediately or whether that's a longer term goal. We also have 2 industry-focused academies that are optional in the first year. A Life Sciences Academy focused more on life sciences, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, biotech, and related areas. And we have a high-tech academy. And both the high-tech academy and the Life Sciences Academy provide some of the same opportunities that the Career Foundation Academies provide in terms of networking, kind of deeper dives into those industries, but again, from the industry perspective, as opposed to the function perspective. Well, I know many of you mentioned kind of the consulting projects you did as part of your academies. What other experiential learning opportunities have you had, if any, that you could share? Were any of you a part of Globase or taking advantage of international opportunities?
Yeah, I definitely participated in Globase. And should I give a brief description of what Globase is?
And okay. What Globase stands for? Global Business and Social Enterprise.
Okay. Yeah. So Global Businesses and Social Enterprises is what Globase stands for. And it's an opportunity to sort of have a consulting engagement with other countries. And so they typically pick companies in other countries that are focused on social enterprises or just have some greater good mission. And for about a semester, you work on whatever the problem is with that company. But it is to me, Globase is so raw. You can't really go in there with we're going to do frameworks and, really have this cookie cutter approach. You spend a lot of time getting to know the entrepreneur or the business owner in that country. Sometimes there's language barriers depending on what country it is and the background of that person. And you have to spend a lot of time diluting what the actual problem is, figuring out a solution that's going to work internationally, work for their budget, work for the resources that they have. And then it all culminates during spring break. You actually get to visit said country and get to go meet the people that you've been sort of talking to via Zoom for the entire semester. And I participated last year in Globase Thailand with a company that basically made alternative plastics out of beeswax and some other household goods. What was interesting is that our business owner, even though she was based out of Thailand, she was Australian, her husband was German, the person who handled the finances was from Argentina. And so we just had a lot of different experiences with that and produced real solutions for this client. This is someone's baby, essentially. This is not a theoretical case study. This is real life that you're trying to help improve whatever business problems or challenges that they're facing. And it was amazing. Unfortunately, our year, we didn't get to travel due to different COVID restrictions, but a lot of people from Globase decided to come back during their second years to be Globase leaders, which essentially you get to lead the first years through their Globase experience and sort of be a resource and a guide for them. And then, ultimately get to travel to whatever countries that they have. But I'll let Michael and Tyler sort of talk more about their Globase experiences and what countries they went to.
Sure. So kind of to add more depth to the description of Globase, it's typically a 3-hour class every Tuesday, at least mine was. So I did Globase Botswana, where I pretty much did a go-to-market strategy consulting project with an agricultural tech startup. Again, I did not know anything about Botswana. I knew nothing about cattle. I knew nothing going into this. So it is really a test of learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it was such a cool experience because, as I said before, I had internal consulting experience, but this was my first time handling an actual external client. And so I would say every experience, kind of like what Tadra mentioned, it's going to be different based on culture. It's going to be different based on the company that you're working with. With mine, yes, it was a consulting project, but it was also kind of like a client coaching project because he had expectations that were over here when they really should have been over here, given a lot of factors, given the economy, the state of his product, et cetera, et cetera. And so we really had to coach him, show him the data and see, you want to go here, but the data is showing that to be successful, you should really be going in this direction. But also in class, you have a lot of opportunities to actually learn about the culture and do a research project. At least in Botswana, every class or country is different from what I understand. But we got to do a cultural research project where I got to teach the class some Setswana and some like tribal languages that are existent in Botswana, which was really cool. But yeah, overall, great experience.
I guess the only other thing I'll add, because I think Tadra and Tyler did an amazing job of summarizing Globase, is the entrepreneurial aspect of the people you're engaging with. And so I really want to highlight that in most cases, these are really early stage startups. So for example, our let's say founder CEO that we were engaged in still had a full-time job and was figuring out, did he actually want to go ahead and do this while he was still building the infrastructure? And actually midway through our Globase project, quit his full-time job to make this his project. And so, I mean, there, in addition, in Consulting Academy, you have these consulting projects, but there's that extra element of emotion when you know this is somebody's livelihood and they're genuinely taking the information that you're providing and trying to enact it in the chaos of being an entrepreneur in an emerging market. So it was really impactful for me.
And I think Michael's comment, is so valuable because that really is what sets Globase apart. It's not simply an experiential learning opportunity for the sake of an academic experience, but the students are making a difference for their client. They're making an impact, and the clients are varied, but many of them are in developing areas, and they may be employing members of their local community, supporting members of their local community. This spring, our students have 3 Globase choices: Globase Botswana, again, Globase Greece, and Globase Indonesia. And so they really do have that opportunity to test their business skills while navigating cultural differences, language differences, time zone differences, and so many other things. Carolina had a question about certificate programs, and I'm not sure if any of you are pursuing one of our certificate programs, but we have 3 different certificate programs available that don't take additional time, don't cost additional money, but if you carefully choose some of your electives and courses for your major, you could potentially earn a certificate in social entrepreneurship, a certificate in product management, or a certificate in global achievement. And in some respects, the coursework is rounding out your education. If you're interested in product management as an example, it's giving you some of the basic skills and knowledge that you would be utilizing as a product manager, and you can use the earning of that certificate as one more way to market yourself. By including that in your resume, you're able to demonstrate that you have done some additional work, taken the coursework that has given you a foundation to be a successful product manager. Tyler, you mentioned that you're kind of
Yes. So I actually had to make the decision last night because my initial plan was to double major in marketing and business analytics and try and fit the product management certificate in if I could. Last night I found out that it was not possible, just given my coursework load. But there's a lot of overlap with both of those majors, and even if you don't get the product management certificate, there's a lot of good classes in that certificate program that are going to benefit you a lot. So negotiations or project management, those are all really popular classes that a lot of students take just because they're so helpful.
Our students definitely have a lot of flexibility depending on how they choose to approach their major or courses after they complete the core. You know, we talked about the core, we've talked about academies. We offer 7 different majors. 5 of the 7 majors are STEM qualified. So for those of you who are international students interested in a STEM qualified MBA that would allow you to apply for an extension of the optional practical training, again, allowing you to perhaps work in the US up to 3 years on your student visa instead of the usual 1 year with the optional practical training. You can choose one of our STEM designated majors, but our STEM designated majors include marketing, finance, supply chain and operations, the strategic analysis of accounting, and business analytics. The 2 majors that are not STEM qualified are entrepreneurship and management. But if you're interested in studying either of those and still want the STEM qualified MBA, you have the choice of double majoring. And you know, either one of those majors could fit nicely coupled with one of the STEM designated majors. We've talked a lot about the teams that you're a part of, the experience you have with your classmates. Why don't each of you maybe talk a little bit about your impressions of the Kelley community and how the community itself has impacted your MBA experience? Who would like to start?
I'll go ahead and take that.
Sure.
For me, it has been easily the most impactful piece of the program. You know, you see classmates every single day. You're in this tight bubble. I would say out of the 150 students, I'm probably on a first name basis with 140, 145 of them. And the reason that, you know, they're not on a first name basis, the other 5 is because they have families and live in other cities. And so they're not here as often. But the majority of us see each other every day. And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier in terms of being able to rely on classmates for different things. You know, our professional services that we have here, our career development is absolutely amazing, but sometimes the point just isn't, you know, hammered home, or you need some extra tweaking. And so I've relied on my classmates for academic help, for resume help, for interview help. And you know, and that's just on the professional side of things. Personally as well, I know I've formed new lifelong bonds that, you know, as a 30-plus-year-old guy, like, you're not really looking for friendships anymore, but they find their way to work their way into your into your body. And so it's been just amazing.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about just an MBA experience altogether is that you can't do it alone. Like if you are somebody who's just sort of like, I'm just going to do this by myself, put my head down and not interact with anybody, maybe you'll make it, but it won't be easy. And so having people around you who are like-minded, who want to see you succeed, who are willing to help you professionally and also personally. I personally have experienced a lot of different things in my life that have zero things to do with school since starting the MBA, and the support that I've gotten from my fellow classmates has been phenomenal. Honestly, like, you just feel like these are bonds that are gonna hopefully last a lifetime, and has sort of transformed you in a great way. So yeah.
Kind of echoing what they both have said. I mean, the Kelley culture is very distinct. People go above and beyond to help you out no matter what, whether that be other students, alumni, or people on the faculty. One of the best memories I have, my GCS coach, Suzanne Fedor, I was working on my resume one night, and I sent her an email thinking she would get back to me tomorrow. She ended up giving me a phone call at 9:30 at night to just help me get my resume together and just make sure I'm good to go on something that I was applying to. I can't remember. But again, even the alumni really try to work super, super hard to maintain that Kelley collaborative culture. If there's a company out there, most likely there's a Kelley there. And if you reach out to them, most likely they are going to respond to you and help you in any way that they can. So I think Kelley has the best culture out of any of the MBA programs that I've seen.
Tyler brings up a good point in that the Kelley School has the largest alumni network of any U.S. business school. We currently have over 126,000 living Kelley School of Business alumni when you look at alumni across all of the Kelley School of Business programs, both undergraduate and graduate programs. And they're a tremendous resource for our students. So many of them come back as guest speakers. They come back representing their company for networking events. And as Tyler said, are often available when our students reach out to them via LinkedIn or other means. And I also want to follow up on another thing Tyler mentioned. He mentioned his career coach, and everyone will have a career coach that will be affiliated with the career foundation they join. But in addition to their career coach, their academy director will be another supportive person in their MBA experience. They will have an academic advisor, and they can choose to also have a peer coach, a second-year student who goes through our Leadership Academy to learn coaching and development skills to be an effective coach. So in essence, you have the possibility of a team comprised of your academic advisor, peer coach, career coach, and academy director, 4 people that are invested in your success that you have the opportunity to, utilize any way you'd like. So one more way that you're not going through the program alone. And another thing that is driven by something Tyler said, Sandy Pan asked whether having a double major means double the course load, or is it a lot of overlapping and common efforts? Do you want to talk about how you manage a double major, Tyler?
I always do too much. No matter what I do, MBAs just tend to do that. I would say it wasn't too hard because minimum, I would say the average is you're taking about 4 classes per 7-week session. And I would say the business analytics, yes, it is its own major, but it's also a co-major because you have to pick a track, whether that be marketing, finance, or supply chain and operations. And there is a lot of overlap between those. So business analytics functions more like a co-major than it is its own major by itself. But I would say it's no harder than any other decision academic wise, whatever track you pick.
Yeah, I'm not a double major, but I have a minor in entrepreneurship as well. And a lot of the classes overlap and count towards like both things, right? So there's like a certain amount of credits you get that you can sort of like flex between different majors. So it's not like you're taking double the amount of classes or anything like that. It's really like you're taking the courses that you're interested in, and they just happen sometimes apply to different things. Like a lot of people kind of just happen into double majors once they realize the courses that they've taken just sort of meet the qualifications for multiple things.
What
So
may
one
end up
last thing.
happening.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was going to say I'm not double majoring, but what I did want to touch on is the course load as well. Is like whether you double major or not, that 4 classes a semester seems to be about the right pace. And the only reason I'm not double majoring is because there were just so many interesting classes out there that didn't happen to overlap. But for a lot of people, it's as Tadra said, you can kind of happen into it, but the course load doesn't change that much.
Yeah, Michael had a great point, which was what I was going to mention. When you choose a double major, it doesn't require additional credit hours beyond the requirements for your MBA. But what it may mean is that you've reduced your degrees of freedom a little bit because you then have to be more careful making sure that the courses you're taking are satisfying the requirements of each of the 2 degrees. If you stick with a single major or even a major and a minor, that means you may have more credit hours available just for the random interesting electives that you want to take to round out your experience. But again, each person's kind of journey through the program is unique. I think at the very beginning they talked about kind of create your own experience or the customization that's available, because you'll be sitting back and choosing, academies and majors and clubs and specific courses to help you best prepare for your future career and the opportunities and courses that are going to best meet your specific needs. So we talked a little bit about Bloomington being an affordable place, and we touched a little bit about the way that it kind of helps build the community. But what have you thought of your experience living in Bloomington, especially Michael and Tadra, who haven't spent quite as much time in Bloomington as Tyler has since he did his undergraduate work here?
I'll go ahead and take that. Yeah, I've had I'm lucky enough to live, in a bunch of different places. So, coming from spending 4 years in Shanghai and you having 27 million people around you, and reducing that to, a town of 30 or 40,000, maybe 100,000 people, is definitely a different experience, but it punches well above its weight. And so it really feels, especially when students are here, like a very lively environment. The food scene is amazing. There are plenty of different things to do, and just the spirit of IU. I mean, it's the pulse of the city itself, and so you always feel energized. You never feel like there's not enough to do, or you're alone, or whatever the case may be. In addition to that, I like that a lot of it is walkable or a very short Uber ride. So, a lot of people walk to class when it's nice, walk to different events, or bike or whatever the case may be. I can tell you this morning, I was on my way back from the gym and I see 2 or 3 classmates walking to class, biking. And so it's just a very accessible, approachable city. And especially for international students who may not have a vehicle when they come here, it makes staying in the community easy.
Yeah, definitely similar experience. I wasn't in Shanghai, but used to bigger cities. And so if you're somebody who's just used to a big city, Bloomington is definitely different, right? It's a college town, it's a small college town, in Indiana. But there are a lot of gyms that Bloomington has, right? And so especially if you're someone who's interested in like outdoorsy kind of things. I am not, but from what I've heard, you can hike, you can do all kinds of different things. There's a cute winery that's like right outside of Bloomington, and there's a lot of just different experiences that you have. But I think one thing that I like to say is that, and it kind of goes to what we said at the beginning, the people really make the experience. Like, whether you're used to a big town, small town, whatever, it's your classmates who really make this a very enjoyable experience. You start going on different adventures with each other and exploring new things and discovering all the things that Bloomington has to offer. But one thing that I also want to touch on is, although Bloomington can sort of seemingly be in the middle of nowhere, we're also centrally located for a lot of different cities. So if you want to get like a city quick fix, you're just an hour away from Indianapolis, like an hour and a half from Louisville, 4-hour drive from Chicago. And so a lot of people do different trips because of different conferences or, interviews that they have to do. But some people just do like weekend trips and decide that they, want to go get away for a second and, then come back to all that Bloomington has to offer. So I think that there's a flexibility that Bloomington sort of offers.
Jim, do you want my perspective? I might be a little
I
biased.
definitely want your perspective.
Okay. So I love Bloomington. I'm originally from Indianapolis, went here for undergrad, and back again. I call myself a triple Hoosier. But if you knew me personally, you would actually know that my biggest goal in life is to get out of the Midwest, not because I don't like it, but it's just time to turn the page. But I would not have come back if I did not see it as value add. Bloomington, again, as I said before, is a great place for you to buckle down and focus on your career. And even if Bloomington feels like a small town to you, it's all about the people. I am never bored. There are so many activities that we do. All of our clubs are student ran. So, for example, tomorrow we're doing like a private drag show charity thing tomorrow night, and expecting like 80 of my classmates to be there and to just be there and support. And so so much to do. You will not be bored. I think both of them summed it up pretty well. Again, I'm biased.
And I think what our students discover pretty quickly is that there are so many things that they want to do while they're here, and so many things that take their time from their coursework, their career search, networking, clubs and activities, uh, some of their outside interests. So living someplace where life is a little bit easier, where there's not traffic, where it's a reasonable cost of living, it just provides our students with that much more time and energy and resources to devote to all the other things they want to do. Whereas if they were in a big city, my guess is they'd be spending quite a bit of time every day just commuting, dealing with a high cost of living and other challenges. There's a question about acceptance rates. We are currently in the very middle of our first round. We haven't made any first round decisions yet, so we don't know anything about acceptance rates for this next year. But you know, I think one of the challenges in the admissions process is people do a whole lot of kind of worrying about other people's applications. The best thing you can do is try not to think about the competition and just put together the best application you can, an application that's going to highlight your accomplishments, help us understand your strengths, help us understand your reasons for pursuing an MBA, and not only what you think the Kelley School can do for you, but what you can do for the Kelley School because of the collaboration that we talked about. You know, really think about ways to differentiate yourself. Go beyond just sharing, for example, in your resume, your tasks or responsibilities, but again, take it that next step to what have you actually accomplished? What's the impact you have? Because sometimes it's those accomplishments and the impact you've had that can set yourself apart. Another question is, what's the weightage of pre-MBA work experience in your journey at Kelley? I'm going to talk about this from the admissions perspective. You know, we value students from all kinds of work experience. We have students every year who join us after having traditional business careers, but we also have students who have been professional musicians, professional athletes, teachers, and everything in between. Our students come from a very wide and diverse range of professional and academic backgrounds. But again, it goes back to the transferable skills they've developed, the things that they've accomplished, the things they've been able to accomplish. The common denominator, whether someone was, you know, an artist or a teacher or an athlete or an accountant or, a retail manager, the common denominator is that they all have future goals where an MBA makes sense, and they want to take full advantage of the opportunities the Kelley School provides while also supporting their classmates. Well, I know we are just about out of time during this live session, but I would like maybe our students to provide just a few final words. You know, maybe has the program met your expectations? And I guess probably the answer to that is obvious from what you've already shared. But if you have like one bit of advice or one reason to give our viewers today about why they should take an even closer look at the Kelley School, whatever last word you would like. And we'll start with Michael.
Sure. So, I mean, obviously, so we're sitting here. It has absolutely exceeded my expectations and has put me in a position to succeed professionally, and I've grown personally as well. And so, I think as you think about these programs that you're looking at, you really want to parse through what matches your identity the best and what you're looking for out of an MBA experience. And so, to hit some of those highlights, if you're really looking for something collaborative, if you're looking for something in a medium size category for class size, something customizable, and something with, in my opinion, a great ROI, then this is very much the program for you.
I would say it all comes down to the people. Just like when you're choosing a place of employment, it's all about the culture. And I think everyone in this is doing the right thing. You are learning as much as possible, hearing from people that are actually in those programs. So lean on those people, learn. And if you resonate with them, then it might be a good match is the biggest piece of advice I can give, I think.
This has definitely been one of the best decisions that I've ever made for my life, for professional development, personal growth, etc. So to answer that question, yes. And then in terms of why you should take a bit greater look at Kelley, I would just say, honestly, and this is for any program that you're applying to, really think about yourself and what it is that you need to succeed, and think about those things. I think a lot of times students or prospective students are like, what do I have to do to sort of fit in so that these people pick me? Which I understand that aspect, because I was applying to business schools, but honestly, like, you just want to be in an environment where you're going to be able to thrive and put your best foot forward. You're spending 2 years out of your life totally, completely dedicated to your personal and professional development. And so much to what Tyler said, if you're hearing some of the things that we're saying and it's resonating with you, then yes, then Kelley is definitely would be a great fit for you. If you're hearing it and you're trying to think of ways to make yourself fit, then I don't know if that would be the best approach. And it's honestly something that during the admissions process, people can sort of pick up on. So really stay true to who you are and the things that you need out of this time in your life.
Well, again, thanks all of you for joining us. Big thanks to Michael, Tadra, and Tyler for spending some time with us today. I know that we didn't get to everyone's questions, but you are welcome to reach out to us. I think GMAT Club just put in the chat a link where you can register for more information. You're also welcome to contact us via email at iumba@indiana.edu. iumba@indiana.edu, and we'll be happy to answer any additional questions via email. So thank you, everyone, and we appreciate your interest in the Kelley MBA program. We hope we see applications from all of you.